All right, so we are here with Ben Waters, CEO and founder of WiBotic. And tell us a little bit about it, because the funny thing is I met a bunch of your team last night at the rum nosing event that was going on. So yes, we were having a rum tasting, which is good, right? Because that means you're perfect for manufacturing happy hour. So, but describe what you guys do as if we were having a drink.
Yes, indeed. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here, guys. Pleasure, and it's fun to see lots of robots here in Memphis.
Yeah, absolutely.
WiBotic has been around for about 6 years now, based out of Seattle. We develop wireless charging hardware and software that manages charging for big fleets, for the robotics industry, for the drone industry, for the space industry, and the broader industrial automation market. Charging for autonomous systems is very important, because if they cannot charge themselves reliably and at scale, the cost savings and the efficiency savings that companies are looking to achieve with automation just go out the window. And you're left with a lot of maintenance, a lot of downtime, and a lot of broken robots that need to be charged manually, which is not good. So that's what WiBotic does.
And you, myself, and Jake, we were talking before we started hitting recording. You gave a really nice analogy talking about like cell phone chargers, right? Can you go through that? Because I think that'll help paint the picture for people that might not be as familiar with this right out of the gate.
Yeah, I often say, raise your hand if you have had to buy a new cable to charge your iPhone. They break, they bend, and things happen and they stop working, right? So imagine this problem for fleets of thousands of robots. If you get to the point where if your solution requires a plugged in cable or even a mechanical contact, that is going to fail. It's just a matter of when. So when we talk with companies about really investing in charging infrastructure, we're talking to companies who have understood this pain point and don't want to deal with those things that consumers have dealt with for cell phones.
And I think the one thing with that mechanical product is, right, my Samsung Galaxy is not going to have the same connection as your iPhone.
Yes, as obnoxious as that is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's some of the really cool ideas as we're talking about this continued conversation around interoperability, where all these different devices, as like FedEx, for example, as an end user who has a half a dozen different AMRs, AGVs, autonomous forklifts on their floor right now. It's important for these companies, as they adapt more solutions in their facility, to have a standardization where they don't want to have, just from a crib and a product standpoint, they don't want to have a bunch of random, diverse products on the floor. They want to set on something standard.
Absolutely. I mean, I think going back to the cell phone analogy, it took that cell phone charging standard was in development for the better part of 5 to 10 years. And when that finally got done, boom, every cell phone has wireless charging. You can buy chargers from the manufacturer, you can buy third-party chargers, and they all work. And people like it. As interoperability becomes a thing for robotics, it's critical, right? Chargers take up floor space. If you have 12 different robots with 12 different chargers times however many of those robots are in a facility, each with its own unique charging station, think about what that means for an end user like FedEx. What if a worker nudges the charging station a couple feet over? Okay, they got to remember which robot's charging station that was. They got to log into it, tell the robot that the charging station moved. All that stuff's being incorporated into these interoperability standards that we are a part of. We publish data to the interoperability standards about the location of the charging station. Any robot, even if it has a different battery, can go to that charging station and charge up, and it knows where it is. And we even are taking that a step further in some of the stuff we're doing in software to optimize the logistics around charging. Like if you've got a few minutes of downtime between a task, our system will say, there's a charger right there, go charge for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you increase the utilization of the robots. You decrease the bad, unwanted downtime that they're spending over there. And that has a lot of cost savings as you add it up across a bunch of different systems.
Absolutely. So I think this next thing is we're not just talking about robots here. We're talking about drones, AGVs, AMRs, and as you said, battery-powered systems in the tricky places. Expand more into that.
Yeah, I felt very fortunate at WiBotic because we've had an opportunity as a business to see tons of different applications in which we're solving the same problem, just in different ways. So we work with companies who are doing fully autonomous drone inspections for remote power lines that have caused huge problems in the last years with fires and leading to terrible events, right? Those companies are investing in infrastructure to put drones at those sites, fly, land, charge, download data, so they can get as quick of a warning as possible if something's going on, or if the crop growth is high and it's dry and presents a fire risk, right? We work with companies who are doing, vertical farming indoors, and they have track-mounted camera systems going all over the place monitoring the crop health. And it's wet in there. It's humid in there. They need good infrastructure to keep those systems powered. So we solve this kind of same battery charging in tricky places problem for a lot of different industries. And it's exciting. I mean, all of those industries, I wish I could say there's one that's just blowing them all out of the water, but they're all just elevating and growing, in their own way. And it's put our company in good position.
Speaking of tricky industries, I also understand that you charge robots on the moon. Is that correct?
We are, our slogan at WiBotic for many years was powering the world of automation. And I have a slide deck for the space stuff where I crossed out world and wrote universe. So powering the universe of automation. And we're super excited to be partnered with NASA and a company called Astrobotic, who we are developing space qualified versions of our charging systems to power robots that are going to the moon in 2024. So that's,
and it makes sense from that perspective, right? You can't have an astronaut randomly plugging in a device or worry about contact or dust or all these unknown materials, right? I think that's one thing about a lot of these manufacturing logistics facilities. There's a lot of unknowns, no matter how much control you put into place.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that non-contact based solution.
Totally. Yeah. The specific technical problems that we are addressing with the NASA work are very hot keywords in the space industry right now. It's resistance to regolith. Regolith is space dust.
Okay.
And it's much finer than dust on Earth. And since there's no gravity up there, it tends to get into things very easily. So contacts, cables, all that stuff really struggle with being robust against regolith over time. And wireless charging is great. Everything's sealed up, no interface. Doesn't matter if there's regolith there, it'll just power through it.
It's a closed system.
Yeah. And then the second thing is lunar night survival. When the sun goes down on the moon, it's down for an equivalent of about 14 Earth days. And most stuff in space is solar powered. So here you have a 2-week window where your robots and other things on the moon that are battery powered are not able to gain access to solar. And they only have a limited battery capacity in the vehicle itself. But if you have bigger infrastructure, like energy grid level battery packs that can store energy, then the robots can drive over to those things, wirelessly charge up, and operate during this 2-week lunar night. And this is something that no one has been able to do on the moon or Mars because of this problem. So it's enabling kind of this new opportunity to explore the moon at times we haven't been able to in the past.
So you're powering the universe. Where in the universe can folks connect with WiBotic?
Yep. We are most active on LinkedIn. We love when people ping us on our website. We check it very regularly and we will respond very quickly. You can find me on LinkedIn. I tend to post things that are questions people don't always think about when it comes to batteries. Like if you actually count this up, it's pretty interesting. How many lithium batteries exist in your home? And do you have to think about charging today? You know, the average from a survey we did was 16, which is, you know, it is what it is, but that's a lot of batteries that among our busy lives, we have to think about charging. So imagine you're not in the picture. How do those batteries charge up? That's, you know, the types of things we like to think about at WiBotic. So,
well, I would love to set an idea. I could take my GoPro, my camera, my DSLRs, my drone that's sitting behind me, and all use just a unified charging space.
That would be convenient. And for those of you that do want to connect with Ben Waters and that want to connect with WiBotic, that's WiBotic, WiBotic. So look them up. And Ben, just wanted to say thanks so much for being on today's show.
Thank you both.